Welcome back to Rich Words Music, where today we're looking at this. It's the PJD Guitars Carey Apprentice model. Now, PJD Guitars, for those of you unfamiliar with the brand, have been going since 2010. They're based in York in the north of England, which is where they build their guitars. And they have four main models that you might be interested in. The first is a double cutaway Stratocaster type called the Woodford. Then there's the offset St. John model, and I've done a video of the PJD Guitars St. John Standard that you can watch later if you'd like to try that one as well. There's also the new from 2023 York model, which is Telecaster influenced in my opinion, and the fourth model is the single cutaway, possibly Les Paul sort of a shape, Carey, and this is the Carey Apprentice, a stripped back rock and roll beast. It has a single P90 pickup and a single volume and tone control, and this is something which appeals to me because I personally love single pickup guitars and I love P90s too. So what we're going to try and do in this video is see just how versatile and how great sounding the Carey Apprentice is going to be. One other thing which I think is really interesting about this guitar is that it kind of seems to be like a cross between a Les Paul Junior and a Fender Telecaster or Esquire. It has that single cutaway body, it has that single P90 pickup, but it also has a Fender 25.5-inch scale length, and it has other things about it that are kind of more Esquire-esque, but we'll find out about those a bit later in the video. So what we're going to do today is I will play the Apprentice in as many different musical styles and settings as I possibly can. We'll go from everywhere between pristine cleans and down-tuned metal and see how much of it can handle, and I'll also give you my full and thorough opinions on this guitar as well, because I've played it quite intensively since I've had it on loan from PJD. But first, let me tell you about the specifications and the features of this specific guitar. So the Carey Apprentice is a solid body, so it's a solid sort of a slab, just like you'd expect with a Les Paul Junior. This one is finished in midnight black and it's relic, you might have already noticed, and the body is obeche, so it's pretty lightweight. This specific guitar weighs in at 2.78 kilograms, which is about 6 pounds too, there or thereabouts, so very much a decent weight. So this is nitro finished, as I said, and it's been reliced too. You can see some gentle relicking here, and on the front of the body kind of swirls in the paint and some light crackling in the light perhaps. This being a black guitar, it's extremely difficult to photograph and video effectively. The relicking is a bit harder, a bit more heavy-handed here up at the armrest, and also on the back there where you might have your belt buckle rubbing against the guitar. But this being a nitro finish, it's going to age gracefully over time. So when we look at the guitar itself then, in terms of the hardware, there's not that much to see. This is a very simple rock and roll machine that just forces you to play it. So the main thing to look at here is the pickup. This is a PJD Fat Nacho P90 pickup that should give us amazing fat P90 mid-pushed honky raucous tones. The bridge here is much more of a Fender flavour than a Gibson flavour. It kind of looks like a Strat hardtail bridge or a cut-off Fender Tele bridge. It has 6 individual saddles, so each of the 6 strings are going to be individually intonatable. It's a Goto bridge, so fully top quality, and it's a string through design as well, so the strings are fed through the body. Next to that, we have a single volume control and a single tone control. These are CTS pots as well, so high quality across the board. And inside we have a bit more magic underneath this back plate here, courtesy of a Mars-Tronic Treblemaker treble bleed circuit. The Treblemaker is a really flexible and option-rich version of a treble bleed circuit. They're actually really easy to apply as an aftermarket addition to your guitar as well. I will leave a link to Mars-Tronic down there if you want to check them out in a bit more detail. But basically, a treble bleed allows you to retain the top end portion of your signal as you wind down the guitar's volume control, so you really get that nice pristine high end if you want it. And the beauty of the Treblemaker is that it comes with different capacitors and it has different switches and also different knobs that you can turn, and you can really have the treble bleed exactly to your liking, and that also lets you tailor it to your individual rig. So a very cool thing if that's your bag indeed, and very worth checking out. There is also a video by Chris Barocci, which I will link to as well, that you can watch. He goes into this in a bit more detail from his perspective as a guitar technician, so that's also going to be worth a watch as well. Moving up to the neck of the Apprentice then, and we have a beautiful roasted flame maple neck here and fingerboard too. It's a quarter sawn roasted maple neck. We have that Fender approved 25.5-inch scale length, so that's more of a Fender feel there. The neck's profile is a really nice medium C shape, I would say, and we have what PJD would call a compound radius running from 10 inches here up to 12 inches there, so it flattens out as you move up the neck. What I really like about the profile of this board and this neck is that it doesn't get thicker as you move up, so it's really comfortable all the way up, and I really like that. We have 20 22 frets on this guitar, and they're Jezcar 55090s, which are the equivalent of 6105 Dunlops, or narrow, tall frets. So they feel fantastic. They've been done perfectly, as you would expect for a guitar of this caliber. Really, really top end all round. There's a 42mm bone nut up here, and if I edge us up to the headstock there, it's a Telecaster-esque headstock, you can't deny that. PJD logo here, and we've got 6-in-line Goto vintage style tuners as well. So that is the PJD Carey Apprentice model, and what we're going to do now is play it. My rig for today is going to be my Hughes & Kettner Black Spirit 200 amp head. We'll start on the amp's clean channel, and we'll do some folk and some pop and maybe some jazzy sort of stuff. Then we'll kick in my Greer Lightspeed organic overdrive pedal and do some fat indie rock riffs and some classic rock stuff as well. And I really think that that's where this Fat Nacho P90 pickup is going to be at home. After that, we'll go to the amp's lead channel and we'll do some harder rock, some progressive rock and some punk rock too. And then we'll tune the guitar down to drop D. We'll go to the amp's clean channel. I'll kick in my Rev G3 distortion pedal and we'll see if we can get a bit of chug going with the Carey Apprentice. I'll also kick in the TCA Electronic Plethora X3 at certain points to give us a bit more ambience, maybe some extra reverbs and delays, some tremolo and stuff like that, just to hear how truly versatile this single pickup equipped guitar can be. Enough talk then, this is the PJD Carey Apprentice. Let's play it now and we'll speak in more detail about it afterwards. Okay then, so that was the PJD Guitars Carey Apprentice model, and I hope you enjoyed the playing and the tones. Now this was a guitar that I was very excited to try out, so when PJD said they'd be happy to loan me one to make some videos, I said yes straight away. I love single pickup guitars, I love P90 pickups too, and this guitar has all of those. I also happen to own a very cheap Les Paul Junior model, the Harley Benton SC Junior, and a Squire Classic Vibe Esquire. There's a definite magic to single pickup electric guitars, and I was really wondering if I would be able to get that out of the Carey Apprentice, and I really do think that it does have that kind of a magic, and it's its own unique thing too. So let me go on then and tell you about my thoughts and my opinions on having had this guitar and having played it pretty extensively since I've had it on loan. So the first impressions on the guitar were pretty decent actually. Now PJD is a brand that I know very well. Like I said before, I've done videos on the St. John before, I've played the Careys, I've played the Woodfords too. I know that they're exquisite instruments. All PJDs come in a made in England Hiscox PJD branded case, and this one is no exception. They're great lightweight hard cases, and when I opened the case to this one, I kind of gasped a little bit because it's the first Relic PJD guitar that I've seen in the flesh. Now every guitar player will have their own opinion about relicing. Most of us tend to either love it or hate it. I personally don't have a problem with relicing whatsoever. I really don't mind it, although I think it's best when it's done tastefully and subtly, and I'm also someone who probably prefers to put my own dings in guitars if I can, but with a nitro finish guitar like this, I have no problem with them giving us a little bit of a head start. The relicing's been done pretty tastefully on this one, apart from where they've been a little heavy-handed here and also on the back. I don't think it's too much of an issue, but again, if you don't want a relic version, get one of the pristine Careys from the other PJD ranges. Now the other thing that I have to say is that this midnight black finish is pretty decent. Very difficult to photograph and video effectively without everything reflecting in it, but I don't mind a black guitar. There are other finishes which I personally prefer, but that is totally a question of opinion. When I picked this guitar up as well, I was very impressed with the weight straight away and the balance too. This is a lightweight obeche body, and the guitar weighs 2.78 kilograms, which is 6.2 pounds, and that is a fantastic weight. It's not too light, so it doesn't feel like a toy or anything like that. It simply feels built to go out on stage and rock out with. The guitar balances fantastically well as well, so whether you're sitting down playing it or whether you're standing up and using a guitar strap, you're going to have no problems whatsoever. And the other thing that I noticed when I picked up the guitar was that it really does seem to be a cross between a Les Paul Junior and a Fender type neck, and also some Fender type body appointments too. It's a really interesting beast, and I was really interested to get into it in a bit more detail. And as I picked it up and started to play it, I started to think about the build quality and the feel of it and the playability too, and it's an exquisite guitar in all aspects. The asking price for a guitar like this is going to be around €2,000, £2,000 or $2,000, and so this is really expected to be of the highest quality, and it is. The setup is immaculate on the guitar, the neck and the frets and everything have been done perfectly. The Goto hardware does its job immensely well. You've got the great CTS pots, you've got that awesome Mars-Tronic Treblemaker treble bleed circuit, which I really didn't do full justice with, but hey, if you want it, it's there. And again, you can apply that Treblemaker to many other electric guitars too as a retrofit. It's supposed to be very easy. It's fairly cheap too. So again, links down there for that. Everything worked fine. The design of the guitar seems to be fantastic. Molding together these Gibson-esque and Fender-esque specs has resulted in an instrument that for me personally is a joy to play, and it really does feel that way too when it comes to the playability. I like the nice sleek rounded edges of the body as well. You've got really decent upper fret access. One thing I probably haven't mentioned yet is the fact that this is also a bolt-on neck, which I think is pretty cool too. Really decent upper fret access here as well, and I love flamed roasted maple necks and fingerboards. This one is satin finished and super slinky and just does the job perfectly. This standard C-shaped profile and this compound radius here is fantastic for me. It fits my hand incredibly naturally, so I'm a big fan of that. The other key thing, of course, that we have to talk about is the sounds of the guitar. Now we've got a single PJD Fat Nacho P90 here. How much can you do with it? And the answer is pretty much everything. Like I said before, I've got a couple of cheaper single pickup guitars and they're magic. They just do as much or as little as you want them to do, but they are way more versatile than I think many guitarists would give them credit for, and this guitar is no exception to that rule. I really like the PJD pickup in it as well. It's classic where it needs to be. It's got bite and bark and woof and pretty much every kind of name, adjective that you can give to it under the sun, and it did everything from nice cleans through to metal as well. When we started, started on the clean channel, you could clearly hear these beautiful, pure, classic clean sounds, really warm jazzy-esque ones too when we wound back the tone control. But there's a lot of bite in this pickup too, and you could almost feel the clean channel starting to break up a little bit when I dug in. So it really did everything in terms of cleans. It did the country stuff really nicely, lots of top-end sparkle. It handled the funky stuff well too, and strum chords are just a delight as well. And at no point did I find myself missing a neck pickup. When we engaged the Greer Lightspeed, which is one of my favorite pedals by the way, we really got some fantastic fat chords. This guitar is great for playing classic rock, it's great for playing indie rock riffs as well, and that's where I'm at home for most of the time, so it worked wonders for me. As we went up to the lead channel on the amplifier and we did the harder rock and the punk rock too, the P90 pickup was fantastic for that as well. It has loads of clarity to it, it's a really direct and aggressive sounding pickup, it does really decent chugging and palm muting, it's a fantastic pickup to use for heavier styles of music. And I think a lot of people assume that P90s are very noisy pickups, and yes, that is true, but they're not that much worse than a standard single coil pickup would be either. So just use a noise gate if you think you'd have a problem with it, because really you're missing out if you don't give P90s a try. One other thing that I found with this guitar was that if I just backed off the volume control just a tad, just away from full on, it gives you a little bit more smoothness to the tone. So if that's something you want, that's something you can get as well. And again, rolling down the volume even more, I did a demo of that too, just so you could hear how well the Mars-Tronic Treblemaker preserves the top end clarity of the tone too. The most interesting sound test for me though was when we went to the Rev G3 distortion pedal and we went down to drop D. And yes, you can chug with the Carey Apprentice. I don't think this is a guitar that you'd specifically be buying if you wanted to play metal, but it handled it no problem, and it has that amazing directness and clarity to the tone. It doesn't have that massive aggressive low end of a humbucker, but it has that upper mid-range and the top end that really will cut through any mix, and I think it's a fantastic guitar for playing high gain stuff as well. So overall, again, way more versatile than you would expect an instrument like that to be. I'm a really big fan of the PJD Fat Nacho P90 pickup, and in the tones department, really impressed all round. So if you've been watching this video up to this point and you're kind of interested in the Carey Apprentice, but you're wondering what else is out there, well, I would suggest the Carey Apprentice. They make this guitar in limited runs with specific colors, and you can also get the occasional different pickup in them too. So check out PJD's website, maybe get in touch with them if you're interested in something very specific, or check out the dealers that already have them. I did a bit of creative Googling and I found a beautiful petrol green or turquoise type version of the Apprentice and a really nice vivid pink one as well, so there are others out there. I also saw that Guitarist magazine had a beautiful vintage sunbursty finish one for a video that they did, and that looked and also sounded immaculate. So there are going to be different options with the Apprentice if you just don't like the midnight black. Now, if you do like this Carey shape but want different pickup options and a flame maple top, then the standard or elite Carey models are going to be your cup of tea. They obviously cost more money, but they give you the options of more pickups. They're semi-hollow too, so you'll probably get an F-hole if you like. PJD though will offer you many different custom options, so if you're into them, check out their website and you never know, you might find something that you like. Now, in terms of other guitar brands that do this kind of thing, well, you could go for a Les Paul Junior, Gibson and Epiphone are your Les Paul companies. Epiphone currently don't build a Les Paul Junior model, but in the past they did make some which were fantastic value for money, so if you can ever track down a used one, check out one of those. And if you want an Esquire or a Telecaster, well, there's a bunch of those out there too, in pretty much every part of Fender and also Squire's ranges. I happen to own the Squire Classic Vibe Esquire. It was built in 2021, and that is a fantastic instrument, but there are Esquires at pretty much every price point in the catalogue now, all the way through to multi-thousands of dollars or euros at the custom shop level. So overall then, I'm a really big fan of the Apprentice. I think it's a guitar that really belies its simple looks and its stripped back appearance with its amazing versatility of tones, and it really will do pretty much any kind of music that I would personally want. And I would challenge pretty much any guitar player to not be able to find the kind of tones and performance that they're wanting to out of this guitar. I really believe it can do pretty much everything. Is it a mix between a Les Paul Junior and an Esquire? Yes, it is in a way, and it is on paper, but I would also say that this guitar is its own thing and you should treat it as such. Try one out if you ever get the chance. If there's ever one local to you, go and give it a play, because I think you'll be very impressed and it'll open your eyes to this new sort of hybrid style of guitar. Overall for me, it's a wonderfully fun instrument. It's built to immaculate conditions, so it's perfectly set up and everything like that, which by the way, you would expect for the price point. Everything about it is top notch, it sounds fantastic, it feels fantastic to play, it looks great too if you like that sort of thing, and it does exactly what I would have expected to, and a whole lot more. So 2 thumbs up from me for the PJD Carey Apprentice model. I hope to look at many more PJD guitars in future, so make sure you're sub to my channel if you'd like to see more than that. I hope that this video answered all of the questions that you may have had about the Carey Apprentice model, but if there's anything else you'd like to know, drop me a question down there in the comments and I shall do my best to answer it for you in full detail. If you're still around, it would make my day if you wanted to like the video, or like I said, even sub to the channel, because that really does help. But that's been it for today's video. I've been Rich for Rich Words Music, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.